Kyle, good morning.
Good morning, Melissa.
Do you think we're both 34 years old?
Right.
Do you think that there's a type of person that you're going to become that you haven't been before?
Ooh. God, in my head, my mind goes straight to the "I'll make a man out of you" song from Mulan. God, am I gonna be a different? Am I gonna make something out of myself when I
No,
grow
I
up?
mean, like, are you going to be a blank person when you've never been a blank person before? Like, once you finally do learn how to drive a car, what if you transform and you truly become a car guy?
Yes, I can see something like that happening. Not necessarily that.
Mm-hmm.
I've starting to have thoughts as I get into my mid 30s of what
Yeah.
is my midlife crisis gonna be.
Yes. A car.
And I think it might be sim racing. Like getting the full setup where I can drive in that, but I don't need a license,
Yes.
and I can get really good
right.
at like actual driving. Except I've never been in an actual car driving.
Oh my God. That is exactly what you'll do. You foresaw correctly. You know what I'm starting to wonder my midlife crisis might be?
What?
Aquarium.
Ooh,
I've been thinking a lot about
aquarium
aquariums
person?
lately.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I've realized I don't see them as much as I should. And I'm not talking about like an actual aquarium, like it's a tourist destination or it's part of a zoo, or even like the tank of fish that they have at a Bass Pro Shop.
Sure, yeah.
But like in movies where there'll be an office or a restaurant that has a big decorative tank of fish, I don't see that very often. And I think part of my soul wishes I did. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do you want fish in your home? Do you want to look at the fish at any time? Care for the
Everyone is
fish?
out there talking about like what fashion trends are like re-entering the modern day lexicon. You're like, but what office trends can we bring back here? Let's bring back fancy aquariums in a nice office.
I've never really seen them. I'm just curious where they stand. I don't know anybody who has an aquarium. And I don't know what
had a
it's like to
roommate in
live that
college that had
lifestyle. I keep thinking about it. I don't know. Like it's like a calming vision. And I worry that it's better as a vision than it is in real life when I have to worry about water pH and cleaning it and making sure somebody checks on the fish if I'm out of town.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know if that's fun for anybody. I've never pet sat before. I don't know if that's something I want to put on somebody else when it's a pet you can't cuddle. It's just fish.
I mean, you could cuddle a fish. It'd probably be bad for their health, but
I can reach in and like touch it, like pet it with like one finger, maybe, if it stays still. If I scoop it up in like the little net
on the
and like
fish,
hold
yeah.
it just under the water and just be like, one stroke. That's my pet. That's fish.
That's all you get, fish.
It seems so beautiful and scenic and dreamy, and it's the tank that attracts me. Like I can put any kind of rocks in there I want, or a little castle.
Yeah. I had a roommate in college that had a fish tank, and it was not a huge one, but it was a sizable one. And that was always the thing, is that the upkeep for that is more intense than I think people realize. It's also not that much. Like I've been a dog person my whole life, so I've been used to like walking the dogs whenever they need to go out and all that stuff. And now that I have cats, I'm like, this is kind of nice. Like I don't have to go outside and walk them.
Right.
They can just handle their own business, and they're okay. But fish, in a weird sense, is like it's not necessarily a step down from that, where you are taking less care of them, because it's upkeep of the tank, But
Yes.
for them specifically, you don't need to do all that much. You just sprinkle in a little
Yeah.
bit of food, and that's it.
I don't have to
And
groom a fish.
right. And so if you get someone to pet sit, it's not like, oh, well, they need to hang out for an hour, make sure the dog has some water or some food, go
Right.
on a walk, make sure they can socialize a little bit. Like, it's not that. It's just like sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay, done. And
Yeah,
then
you're
they leave, right?
they're not caring for my pet. They're caring for my glass box, my wet glass box.
Which even then, like, they wouldn't, like, if you were out for a week, like, they wouldn't really need to do maintenance on that, except for just like, let me
Who
feed
knows?
the fish every now and then. But like, yeah, I don't know.
There's a saying that the 2 best days of your life are the day you buy your boat and the day you sell your boat.
Mm.
And I don't know if the same goes for aquariums.
Wise words, Melissa. Wise words have never been spoken as wise as that. If you guys did not know, this is the Whatnauts Captain's Log. My name is Kyle Springer, and I'm joined, as always, by Melissa Wilkinson.
Yes.
Melissa, how are you?
Good. It's we've had a heck of a winter so far in just like the first 3 weeks of the year, and we're getting to the point where it's still now it's like 30 degrees, but it's not 3 degrees. So I'll take it.
Yeah, we had a couple of days that dipped into like the low teens and stuff like that, but not fun. And for us right now, it's like it's doing this like roller coaster thing where it'll get up to like mid 50s, but then like the day or two after, it'll be back down to like it's like 28, it's 30, and it's just like, I don't like this. Make up your mind. But yeah, it's been an interesting time. I have a quick update that nobody was asking for on the neighborhood watch. Because yeah, a handful of months ago, I told a story on here that I have seen the guy that the neighborhood watch sticker little logo is modeled after. Not actually modeled after him, but
as
I
far
saw
as
him
we know,
walking
but like
down the street,
a trench coat and hat guy.
Yeah, and it was just like, whoa, what is happening here? This is suspicious. You look like the neighborhood watch guy, but I think I should watch out for you. And that's kind of what happened. Is once I saw him, I started seeing him more and more and more. It's pretty common for my partner and I to, like, as we enter our neighborhood or live it, we'll see him just on his little like electric scooter riding around, and he often has some comic book t-shirt on. He has like a Superman shirt or a Spider-Man shirt.
Are you sure this isn't your new best friend? Like, have you tried talking to him?
I have not met him yet. No. I'm still suspicious.
I'd love for you to just shout the name of a comic book writer or artist at him and see if he turns around.
John Byrne! Jeff Lemire! Tom King! But over the holidays, I saw him out there still in the cold on his scooter, except this time he's out there in an ugly Christmas sweater with like the nutcracker like military shoulders thing that has the like tassels on it. It was just a weird sight to see. It's like, dude, it's cold. You're only in like a sweatshirt, like a light sweatshirt. What are you doing?
Maybe he's me. I do not like wearing a coat. A coat is like a trap. I want to be free.
That's Rachel too. That's my partner. I'm from the East Coast where it will like we'll get a foot of snow sometimes. If we don't, it's still super cold. But I've gotten here and it gets cold, but not for as long. And we certainly don't get as much snow. And so I have like a big winter coat. Rachel does not. And it's always baffled me where it's like 13 outside and we'll be ready to go to the grocery stores or something. And she's just there in 2 sweatshirts. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What can't, do you just want a jacket? It's so much easier.
My mom runs cold. And when I was little, I think she thought the children must also be cold too. If I'm cold, the kids are cold. And she'd put us in all these like puffy coats where you can't, it's full of Christmas Story, and all these sweaters. And the sweaters are made out of like acrylic yarn where it's scratchy and it's just plastic.
Don't like that.
And I think I think it gave me a lifetime aversion to too many layers or layers of too poor a quality.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
She bought me the wrong clothes when I was 5, and now she's never succeeded at buying me clothes ever again.
Melissa has trauma.
My mom's very lovely, very generous. She tried to buy me some clothes for Christmas. And I'm like, the polyester count is too high on all of these, Mom. You have to give me the receipt. I have to take them back. Oh. I can't wear that much polyester.
Good try, Mom. Thank you. I appreciate the gesture. Gesture? There we go.
I always appreciate a gesture. Give me one of those.
Too. Yeah.
Man.
Speaking of clothes, I have something that I want to bring on the podcast here. This is one of my Christmas gifts that I got. My parents got me. Me and Rachel, we got matching sweatshirts here. And this is a red sweatshirt. It's a Ferrari sweatshirt from their Formula One team. They even have the Ferrari logo on the back there. But they also have a bunch of their other sponsor logos and stuff like Shell and
Gas.
Santander, stuff like that. Because my parents, like for a week or so before their anniversary, they went out to Vegas.
How many? How many years?
I do not know off the top of my head.
My parents hit 49 this year.
Yeah.
Almost 50 years. Got it. This is when I start planning the big 50-year bash.
Yeah.
I wish the same for your parents as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so they were in Vegas like a week or so before their anniversary, but it was also like a week or two after the Formula One I cannot speak today. I am all over the place. I'm mixing up my words and everything. They were out there about a week or so after the Formula One race. So they get into this one store and they call me and they're like, "Hey, Kyle, there's a bunch of Formula One merch. Do you want us to get you something?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Yeah, that'd be awesome." And so they had it was mainly Red Bull stuff, Mercedes, and Ferrari. They did not have McLaren, which is the one that I was like, maybe get me something McLaren. I don't know.
It's so funny that most people will never buy a Mercedes or a Ferrari in their life. Like, those are both like, you have to drop $50,000 on one of those. But Red Bull, $5. And nothing in between. There's not like a Hewlett Packard team. There's nothing that is a brand where the item costs like a couple hundred. No, 50,000 or 5.
HP is now a sponsor of Ferrari.
Okay.
So
all right.
But so they were at this store and I directed them to the Ferrari stuff. Because I was like, well, they don't have McLaren, and I think I'm kind of leaning towards being a McLaren fan right now. But Lewis Hamilton, who's one of the big stars right now, he is joining Ferrari for this next year. It might be nice to have some Ferrari stuff. So I was like, hey, can you actually get one for Rachel too? And so they got us these matching sweatshirts. But it's a great sweatshirt. It's made by Puma, so it's good quality and stuff. But as I was wearing this sometimes you know that the shirts that have the tag like
Yeah.
down at the bottom, well, it had that, and I could feel it. So when I
Uh-huh.
went to go pull out the tag, Melissa, I pulled out a whole novel of
Yeah.
tags. There,
Yeah.
I have never seen as many tags as are on this thing. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh my God.
6, 7. There's like 7 or 8 tags.
And these are like
this thing
2
here.
or 3 inch long tags.
Right. Yes. It is a whole booklet. And I'm assuming it's like the washing instructions in every language and stuff like that, because F1 is a very international sport.
Yeah.
But I saw this and I just started laughing.
That
never
is
seen anything like this. It's ridiculous.
They should just have a QR code. 1 tag and 1 QR
Yes.
code that you scan.
Exactly. Which one of the tags has a QR code on it. Good Lord. So yeah, I just thought that was dumb and funny, and I had to show you. So
That is a lot.
I don't get it.
I
don't.
Are you going
it.
to cut? Are you going to cut them off, or are you going to keep it to like show to people?
I've shown it to you and the podcast universe, whoever might be watching it. So now I can finally cut them off. Yeah,
it's on the record. You can you can refer anybody to this if they ask.
Tags exist.
Here's proof.
Yeah, indeed. I have one more dumb thing, real
okay,
quick thing. I think this might be my gimmick for the year. Every so often, I might bring an unimportant headline onto the podcast. I've done it once or twice before in the past if I see something just stupid enough. But I think this year I might search them out and be like, what is one of the dumb headlines that happened this week?
Mm-hmm.
So here's one that crossed my social media feed from the New York Times. The googly eye bandit has stepped forward. Googly eyes have appeared on pieces of public art throughout Bend, Oregon last month. The identity of the googly eye bandit was unknown until the prankster came forward to claim responsibility for some of the eyes.
Oh.
So I could click into it, but I don't have a subscription to the New York Times. So
I will. I'll look it up later at work.
Yeah. The googly eye bandit. And it's just, he puts these giant googly eyes just on like public pieces of art to give them like a face, and that's it. It's fun. It's dumb. Unimportant.
I wish we still had Mindhunter and they could hunt this mind.
Mindhunter season 3.
Mindhunter, but only for like the dumbest headlines. The all Florida man season of Mindhunter.
Who is the Florida man? God, yeah. So that was it. But that might be something.
Thank you.
Dumb, just to make us giggle, just to make us
we
laugh
need
a little bit. You know,
you gotta laugh.
Yeah, indeed. All right, Melissa, got a few things on our agenda.
Yes.
For the podcast today, not as many as we might normally have, but that is a-okay. Where do you want to start here?
What do you think of The Brutalist?
Let's jump right into our cinema corner. Yes, Melissa, I went to go see The Brutalist. I was very excited to go see this one, especially it being like an almost 4-hour long movie, and it has an intermission. Mm-hmm. I was just like, you don't get that nowadays, right?
You truly do not.
So I was excited for that, but then also by time I was able to go see it, it was being nominated left and right for all kinds of things. So enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. I don't think I left as excited about it as I was when I went in, but that's not to say it was disappointing. It
Yeah.
was a beautiful film. It's gorgeous to look at. The acting is incredible. Yeah, I have good things to say, except for maybe the ending. The ending felt abrupt or like it skipped a beat.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think I was just kind of expecting something else at the end. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic to be able to like get up and be like, all right, well, we got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go use the bathroom, and then when I'm back, you can go and stuff
Right.
like that.
Walk
right?
around.
Yeah.
Get a
Get my
fresh
steps in.
treat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
It is a long movie. It goes to a lot of places. It has many tones. It does encompass a massive amount of time.
Yes.
The film itself and the story it tells are huge in scale. There are ebbs and flows. There's highs and lows. The end credits of this movie are something I've never seen before. They're diagonal.
Yeah.
I've never seen diagonal. Nobody before has dared.
I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but yes, it is not something you see almost at all.
And they play
maybe was my favorite bit of that. They're just like,
yes,
these credits.
Yes.
Oh,
right.
my little graphic designer heart. I love it. Thank you.
I love an interesting credit. There have been so many times I've seen a movie that I liked and I get to the end and it's just white serif on black background and I'm kind of let down. And of course, like a funky credit isn't right for every film. Some of them do need to have something sort of grave and solid and serious. But I was not expecting this of all films to be the one that's like, it's diagonal, it's stripy, and they play a song over the end credits. And then when that song is over, it's just silent. Yeah. And that's against the rules. You play music all the way through or it's silent all the way through. It's not half and half. Sometimes it's silent and then as like a joke, if you stay long enough, there's like a jokey bit song at the very end, but song and then song's over and then you just sit quietly. No, I've never seen it.
And to be clear, it's not like an animated end credit scene that you see in some of the like bigger blockbusters from Marvel to Mission Impossible to something else, right? It's not this animated sequence. It is just this very well designed end credits that is not your typical, like they're just in like a single 2-column format and it scrolls from bottom to top. It is diagonal, like you said, but things are it's like a 7-column grid or an 8 one, right? And it's just designed so well. The whole thing just looks like a Bauhaus like Swiss typography poster, and it just looks so good.
Man.
Yeah, and that was one of my favorite things in the whole thing. I was like, oh yes, these look awesome. I don't think I've ever said that about like an end credit sequence of like, oh, these just look so good.
It's such a treat. We need an award for this. Excellence in credit design. Because when it hits so hard. It's such an achievement.
Yeah. Or like good movie poster design. Put that in the Oscars.
Yeah, Brutalist had some good ones.
Yeah. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I really liked it. I think I was maybe expecting a little bit more of an explicit kind of biting critique at something. And that stuff is certainly in there. Don't get me wrong. But it is maybe a lot more subtle than what I was expecting. Yeah, I felt like the ending skipped a beat. It felt like there was like maybe 2 or 3 minutes like cut out of the end. And I was just like, wait, what? Okay, I guess. sure, we can skip over that and not deal with any of the consequences of that. Sure.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was strange, and then yeah, I it, like it's one of those movies though that left me like thinking about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Like I'm still just being like, huh, interesting movie. It was just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy you went out to see it.
Yeah.
You know what movie I can't stop thinking about?
What is
I
it?
saw Nickel Boys this week.
I don't think I've heard of this one.
Okay. It was nominated for Best Picture. So you're going to start hearing about it. It's not one of the front runners to win, but it's in there. It made the 10. I'm very happy it made the 10. Nickel Boys is based on a novel by Colson Whitehead. It is the fiction directorial debut of Ramel Ross, who's worked in documentaries before.
Okay.
The book is about these two Black boys at a reform school in like Jim Crow era Florida in like the 1960s. It's a bad time.
Yeah.
But the film is shot first person perspective from these two boys. You were seeing what they see. It seemed like such an inventive way to present the story. The cinematography was gorgeous. I'd heard really good things about it. Finally, it came to my market and I was able to see it.
Interesting. Okay.
This it's such a nightmare and it's such a dream. Like there's real horror in it. I was talking to another friend a couple days after I'd seen it and she'd seen it separately.
Mm-hmm.
And she remarked that it's a PG-13 movie. I'm like, you're kidding. That can't be true because it feels so terrifying and so tense. PG-13. Yeah. It's
Wow.
one of the most harrowing times I've ever had in cinema. But there's also these little brief moments of beauty and calm and it's just it's another one of those movies that just kind of has everything in it and you're shocked it has everything in it. There's times when it feels not just horrifying but terrifying. Like there's this pervasive sense of dread over the whole thing that almost makes it feel like a horror movie.
Sure, yeah.
Which was very interesting to me. It intercuts the perspectives of the two boys and this archival footage. You know, it's set in the 60s and like they include footage of like the space race and man landing on the moon. It gets very collage-y at the end. And it reminded me of 17,776, which is one of my favorite pieces of art in any medium or genre in like the last decade. But like nothing ever approaches that thing. It's so sprawling and weird and niche. I never thought I'd see anything in my life that's like, that reminds me of this thing.
Yeah.
All
interesting.
all the influences it's pulling from. I was enchanted. It's like one of the saddest, darkest things I've seen in quite a long time, but I am going to go see it again.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, that was not on my radar at all. I don't think I've seen it in my Regal app yet, but that's kind of the weird thing about the Regal app is like when the Brutalist finally was available to me, like I almost didn't know it was because it just popped in there and it was like Wednesday night and I checked like what's out this weekend that I can go see and it wasn't in there yet, and then like on Friday I looked and it was like it's already out. I was like, whoa, wait, what? So who knows, it might pop up on mine.
And as one of those 10 Oscar nominees, a lot of theater chains play all the nominees and you could catch it then.
Cool. Good stuff. Speaking of other movies I saw yesterday, I went to go see One of Them Days.
Fun.
This is the new Keke Palmer movie that she's in. It's a real quick, like hour and a half ish. It was a delight. It was
good.
Fun. It was breezy. It was hilarious. It was just a good time.
Good. Sure
Yeah.
seems like it. I haven't made it out to see that one yet, but I like a comedy that takes place under a tight time constraint
Yeah.
where they have to like make all this rent money back by like 6 p.m.
Yeah.
I like
And
the concept.
Here's all the ridiculous stuff that happens to them along the way. Yeah, it's a really simple concept. I enjoyed it a lot. The theater that we were in was maybe one of the more packed movie theaters that I've been in recent times. But then again, I am also the one going to see stuff like the Brutalist, which had a few other people in it, but still, right? Like I go for more of the artsy, like maybe less mainstream stuff, right? Alongside the Marvel movies and things like that. But that one, just a large number of people at that one.
That's fun. I also went to see a movie yesterday that takes place under a specific time limit. It's practically real time. This is September 5. I imagine if Nickel Boys didn't get on your radar, then September 5 certainly didn't.
Yes, no, that did not get on my radar either.
This is another sad historical film.
Melissa has a type.
The Oscars have a type, and my type is the Oscars. So just by, properties of relativity, I have to be into the horrifying pieces of 20th century history. September 5 is about the taking of the Israeli hostages at the 1972 Munich Olympics.
I don't remember if it was you that mentioned it or someone else did that may have at least mentioned it, that they were seeing a movie about that.
But September 5 is told all from the perspective of the ABC Sports News team, who were there covering the Olympics as the Olympics. And then this story erupts, and they're like, we're the ones on the ground. We are right here. We're covering this. This is our story. And takes place, like I said, mostly in real time. It's such a technical movie.
Cool.
This thing is like packed with details. It's not just about the larger questions of like, when is it journalism's job to just report, and when do we intervene, and what is it appropriate to show on live television? But it's down to technical little things like, it's 1972. They're still shooting things on film. They've got some live broadcasts, but it's like, we shot part of this on film. We can't put it on TV until we develop the film. So that'll have to come at like later today.
Right.
Or like, this is how you put together the chyron at the bottom of the screen, where it's still plastic letters on a board, and they like shoot the board and do an overlay onto the video.
Yeah.
Or like they have to flip through like the Olympic program to like find photos of these hostages. And then you see a woman like take a photo of the program and then develop the film and then blow it up real big. And so they shoot that, and that's high enough resolution that then they can broadcast it on TV and have the images be legible. Like from the big to the small, September 5 has it all.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'd love a movie like that. It's just about, it's a process movie. I love a process movie. This is just how you do the thing. This is the craft. These are people who are very good at their jobs doing their jobs.
Yeah, it feels like it would be a movie that if anyone else made it, it would be about the hostage situation, not the like. But how does this team cover it? Right. Which I think is an interesting angle to take on that. Like, what are the problems that and hurdles that they run into while they're trying to break this story here? So.
It reminded me of Killers of the Flower Moon, another movie about sad 20th century history, where, of course, you're learning about this tragic, undertold story. Yeah. But at the end, there's the little radio play bit, and you see them making the sound effects live on the air, and you're like, oh, that was fun. I didn't expect to also learn about that thing. That was like a little dessert at the end of the movie. It's like you're still learning, but now you get to learn a fun, shallow, meaningless thing to like kind of let your brain cool down. That's what September 5 was about. It's like you're getting up close and personal with this terrible event, but also here's like wires and cables and camera junk.
Yeah, here's how we made a lower third, right? Here,
Yeah.
Interesting. That's fun. Yeah, don't have any other movies kind of on my radar for the next like week or so, but certainly looking forward to the next Marvel movie, Paddington, once it finally comes out.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So yeah, there'll be some interesting ones coming up. My other two things are TV shows. What is this last thing that you have on your list?
The Timekeepers of Eternity is a film I went to see. We have a local like micro cinema bar.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bar that just put in a projector and like 3 or 4 rows of basic theater seats, and they show weird little films there. I'm so happy they got the Timekeepers of Eternity because I didn't know if I'd ever be able to see this thing. This premiered at Fantastic Fest a couple years ago. I think it's only done like festival circuits since then.
Uh-huh.
In the 90s, there was a TV miniseries based on the Stephen King short story called The Langoliers about these folks who are taking a plane ride and they fall asleep and they wake up and they're like, everybody else on the plane is gone. Like there's nothing on the radio, no communications. Like thankfully one of us is a pilot. We land the plane. The airport's deserted. It's like we've fallen through a hole in space time and we're alone.
Yeah.
It's like sort of a cosmic horror like that. And then these like little creatures called the Langoliers are coming to like eat reality. They're like, we're yesterday. Do you know what happens when yesterday turns into today? The Langoliers come and eat yesterday. That's where it goes. So that's what's going to happen to us unless we can fly back out of the wormhole we flew in through. So it's a couple hours long. It's slow. There's too many characters in it. What the Timekeepers of Eternity is one filmmaker took every frame of the Langoliers miniseries and printed it out on paper and cut it down to 62 minutes and animated it by ripping and tearing and wrinkling the paper.
That's what I was just about to ask you. I'm looking at pictures and it's fascinating to look at because it's this like just straight up like ripped paper. They like carefully ripped out a character and maybe collaged it with that same image behind it multiple times, like stuff like that. But as you said, to animate this, that's what I was gonna like. Yeah, this whole thing is animated. It's not actual like live action, but it kind of is because it's the stuff of
it's photos of live action that are being collaged together, and
that's wild.
I'm watching it. It's doing things I've never seen before in this medium, but like we all know what a photo collage is. Whether it's something we did on our locker in high school or it's some big art project, or we know what it is. We know that it can do anything. You can like cut out somebody's face and like stick it on something else.
Right.
So the film is doing that with this paper and it reads and it makes sense. Whereas if you had done this with film, this would have been, people would have stood up and left. It would have been like too weird for anyone to process, just like somebody's face photo imposed over somebody else's face while they're talking about them.
Yeah.
But with the collage rules, you can do it. And as a character gets angrier and angrier, the paper that he's on gets like wrinklier and wrinklier. And, you know, when they arrive at the empty airport, the guy who's like the most tense, the most on edge, they just keep tearing holes in the landscape of the airport and like his eyes keep popping out. Like he's like, all over the place.
Wild.
And then when so this is a 90s miniseries, The Langoliers. The Langoliers themselves are like, imagine the aliens in Attack the Block, but you only have $20 to make them. It's like low. It's an early 90s TV budget. They are using that level of digital effects. It does not look good. But with the Timekeepers of Eternity, he can just tear them right out of the page. So these things that eat reality are truly just holes. They're just holes that gobble everything up.
Yeah, that's wild. These images are fantastic, though. I love these.
Remarkable. It's it's such a beautiful creation. I'm like, all the things that had to happen in the world, all of the sad 20th century history I just talked about, also resulted in one TV miniseries with weird special effects and an outsized Bronson Pinchot performance that kind of gets mocked and kind of gets celebrated. And all of it leads to this one filmmaker who is attracted to this project, attracted to the Pinchot performance, and is like, I'm going to print it. I'm going to take 3 years and print this and wrinkle it and tear it and glue it back together. And we saw this
That's kind of
with
wild.
a virtual live Q&A from the filmmaker, who is
awesome.
calling. He's in England. Let me actually find the man's name. Where is his name? Aristotelis Maragkos. Aristotelis Maragkos. I think I've got that right. He's based in England right now. So it is 2 a.m. when he zooms into us at this little theater in St. Louis. And he is very generous and gives us like a full like half hour to just us to bounce questions off of him. And he's just generous with his time and excited to talk about this project. And it's so cute because it is truly just the owner of the theater puts a laptop with a Zoom window on top of like some boxes at the front of the room.
Good Lord.
And then like casts it onto the screen. It's so lo-fi and so charming. It was a great night.
That's awesome. That sounds like a blast.
Please seek it out. Because it's in this sort of copyright gray space, I imagine, and also it's 62 minutes. This is really not a traditional film. Yeah. I don't know what kind of release it's had before, if any. I don't know how you can see it, but by God, see it.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you for that recommendation. That's an interesting one for sure. Only the last little bits of things that I want to say is that I finally watched Arcane season 2. It was both really, really good and also felt kind of rushed. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was the final season, and it did feel like maybe they had a third season in mind and then just kind of combined everything into one season here. They also do this really weird thing that I don't think was a good choice for the show, was an excellent choice for their marketing. They do these basically like music videos in every episode that they do here, sometimes twice. It's just a lot. Like if you cut out that little bit and put that out as a teaser, the marketing would be fantastic. Like, oh, we get to hear like the vibe and the sound track and look at some cool art and stuff like that. This looks fantastic. But it happens every single episode to a different song and a different montage. And it's just like another one of these. Okay, I would kind of rather you sit with the characters and have them talk about something or like dig through those emotions of everything that's happening. But it was an interesting choice. It's not that it looks bad or anything. It was just like, I think you just tried to kind of put everything into one box here. And it's like, this is your scene and your marketing and your teaser trailer and it's, yeah. So Not as good in my opinion as the first season, but still fantastic. That art is incredible. And then we should at least mention Severance season 2.
Yeah.
It's out. We've started it. I've only seen the first episode so far, so have not watched that second one yet. But Melissa and I have decided to cover that in a 2-parter. So we will look in on that when it's halfway through, which is I think after episode 5 comes out. And then we will look in on that again once it's all wrapped up. I'm excited. I'm so stoked to keep watching the show.
Episode 2, a lot more happens in episode 2. Like, it's really laying a lot of groundwork. This season is progressing faster than season 1 was. There's something I want to tell you about episode 2, where there's 2 just like incidental characters who we meet who feel almost like doubles to other characters.
Interesting.
Like, there's a scene where Dylan goes and talks to a guy, like Outie Dylan. Oh, you know, the first episode was all innies. I don't think it's much of a spoiler to say the second episode, all outies. Outie Dylan goes and talks to a guy who weirdly looks like him. And I don't think it's a plot thing where it's like, this is Dylan's long lost father. This is Dylan from the future, and he came back in time. And I watched like the new Rockstars breakdown, and they're talking about, oh, this is an actor that Ben Stiller worked with on The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and he just liked him, and he's back.
Sure.
So I don't think it means anything. But like the guy's like hair and beard and glasses, like he looks like related. A Dylan.
Could they be like brothers or
I
like?
I don't think that's it. I don't think it's supposed to have that strong of a tie. And then there's another guy. You meet like a Lumen security guy who's like a big bearded guy who vaguely looks like Rickon. And again, I don't think there's supposed to be any actual ties going on, so much as maybe just perhaps a general theme of doubling and replication.
Interesting. Okay. I will keep an eye out then.
Just a thing I wanted to talk to you about, so you can also keep an eye on it. And we'll see after a couple episodes if this theme continues.
Interesting indeed. Well, with that, I say we take a quick break for housekeeping. When we come back, we have a little Planarama to do. And then, Melissa, you can tell me all about the Oscar nominations and keep me up to date with all of that stuff. So yeah, we will be right back. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. We hope you're enjoying it. If you didn't know, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. But none of this is possible without your support. Head over to patreon.com/thewhatnauts and you can get access to over 40 hours of exclusive content, including our Patreon first podcast, The Pilots Club, when you sign up at our $3 tier. Of course, there is a free version of the Pilots Club available, but episodes are exclusive to our Patreon for 2 years before they hit the free feeds. If you're interested in buying merch, we have shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more for sale over at thewhatnauts.com/store. Another great way to help us out is by subscribing and leaving a nice rating and review on your podcasting app of choice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for video versions of the show, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, you can always find out more information about the shows we make on our website, thewhatnauts.com. All right, we are back. Once again, a big shout out to our Patreon supporters. We love you a lot.
Thank you.
It means a ton. Let's see. Right here. So I should say, I think I've been messing up the numbers of the captain's log over the last couple episodes. So I need to go back in and fix that. This is episode 288. I have confirmed that. That is the one we are on. But at one point,
yes.
I had 287 in there twice. I think it's still on there, so I have to go fix that. Anyways, right here on this podcast, the Captain's Log, last episode, we got to catch up with a bunch of the stuff that we'd been up to over the holiday break, all the stuff we'd been reading and watching over the past year some of the top 10s from Melissa's movies she's watched and shows and all that good stuff. Also, the mysterious snow stand that appeared outside of Melissa's apartment, and the fact that my partner and I bought a new car and what that process was like. But yeah, that was over on the Captain's Log. So over on the review show, Melissa, we got to cover a little sci-fi movie called Sunshine, directed by Danny Boyle. This is one you had recommended to me more than once on more than one occasion. We finally sat down to watch it, and it feels real relevant right now. Not in the fact that our son is dying or anything like that, but just like the creative team, the actors on this, like star-studded cast, and at the time,
there's like not
known.
Yeah, it's this writer, this director, these stars are all still very of the moment. Like, this movie feels like it could come out this summer.
Right. Yeah.
And instead we get 28 years later.
So yeah, go check it out. Sunshine was fantastic. So we just mentioned Severance season 2. We're going to be covering that in 2 parts. Be on the lookout for that down the road. But over on the Pilots Club, in the month of January, we covered Columbo, which oddly enough has come up in 2 different locations on things that we have been watching for the podcast.
Yes. You spotted him too?
Yeah, exactly. I spotted him too. Good. So yeah, we now have Columbo on the mind. Go check that out. But this year over on the Pilots Club is the year of the detective. And right after this, we are going to be recording the Pilots Club for February, which is all about the anime Detective Conan. So go check that out. That should be out real soon, by the end, early in February. You guys know the deal with all of that stuff. And then over on the free version of the Pilots Club, kind of an honorary detective, we are releasing our episode on Puchinsky in February. Cop who gets turned into a dog. So
and it's a puppet. It's a puppet of a dog.
It sure is. So yeah, go check that out over on the free version of the Pilots Club. That should be out the first Friday of February. But yeah, that is about it for housekeeping. So, Melissa, what do you want to do first? You want to do the Oscar noms or the Planarama? The Planarama,
let's do the plan.
We have most of it kind of locked in already, I feel like.
Do we?
I think so.
All right, let's go through it. Well, first, you talk about stuff, and I'm going to write us a little calendar.
Sure, yeah. So
we need one.
Year at the start of the year, we do this little Planarama because we like to play some different games and such throughout the year. It's always fun for us to like catch up as friends and be like, what movies did you watch? What TV shows are you into right now? What's happening in your life? But sometimes we just like to play a good, fun game. We always do a trivia night. We do our Rotten Tomatoes movie predictions, stuff like that. Or we throw in other kind of themed episodes throughout the year. In the past, we've done fantasy drafts. We've done things where we try to build some combined top 10 list or top 100 list of something.
We've never done 100 of anything. What's the highest we've ever counted? We counted to 50 monsters once.
What did we do? We did something. So we did it for the Reactor Core, where we ranked all the movies that we had covered within the 100 episodes. Not that we had 100 movies, but we did stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, we just like these little stuff. We've done taste test episodes where we've had like astronaut food or like all different kinds of flavors of Pocky. stuff like that. I think last year we even gave each other a like, let's do something with hot dogs. Make a interesting hot dog.
Oh, yeah. So this year, I just wrote down all of the dates for all of our episodes so we can start to map them out. A year is long. That was a lot of typing. So our big, not 100, our big milestone, the episode that we would be recording about the weekend of July 13th is episode 300.
Awesome. Yeah, my plan for that is to go up and visit Melissa in person.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. She came down to me for episode 200, right? Is that
yeah?
Yeah. So yeah, I just, it makes sense for me to return the favor and go up to her.
If you come that weekend, do you know what else we get to do?
No.
You get to see
match. Nicolas Cage for the review.
No,
that's right.
I mean, maybe we can delay that and like combine them. You get to see James Gunn's Superman in James Gunn's hometown.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
Also, you know I love the Muni, the St. Louis summertime theater tradition. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make you go.
Okay.
The show that week is Frozen, the stage musical of Frozen.
Cool.
Which might not be it's kind of a kid show. It might not be exactly your thing, but let me tell
fun
you.
To go see.
Right. It is the family shows, like the Disney musicals, where this theater pulls out all the stops because they know that is their big money maker. That's when they get all generations packed in. They can really make an impression on young audience members who are going to return for decades to come. That might be the best week to come, is to see the family show. Okay. It's going to be extravagant.
Okay. That sounds awesome. Good stuff indeed.
And also, I think that should be, I think we should make episode 300 our taste test this year.
Okay. There you go. Interesting. Did you have an idea for the like if we're there in person, is there some interesting street food that we're trying? Are we taking over your apartment kitchen and baking something? And we could do that. Do something like that, and just like we made some fancy cake here.
Oh man, we make ourselves a cake, like a 300th episode cake. That's true. We can do that.
Yeah.
I was thinking I'd just make you eat St. Louis foods. Like I brought you some Fitz's soda when I came to Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. I attempted to bring you a gooey butter cake, but as soon as I got there, I put it in the little fridge in my hotel room and realized the next morning that the fridge was broken. And so it was not cold, and I could not feed you that gooey butter cake. But there's many a delight. We've got our weird, thin, crispy pizza. Mm-hmm, I can make you eat some emos. That was my plan. But I do like the idea
I'm still down for all of that stuff, and can at least talk about it on the podcast of like, oh, we went here, you took me there, this food was incredible, all that stuff. But maybe I like the idea. This is truly the one time we could do that. I love that idea, making a cake. That's fun. Okay.
You got to do the cooking by the book.
Indeed. So yeah, I'm sure that episode will be packed, but also I'm sure we'll come up with other things to celebrate and talk about in that one. Should be a lot of fun. Melissa, I am assuming you are still gonna do your Wet Awards or something similar.
I was just looking at, when do we do the Wet Awards? The Wet Awards every year, right around the Oscars, I rank the 10 Best Picture nominees on a scale of wettest to driest. This year, if they hold the date, Oscar Awards, that should be on the 2nd, March 2nd. The Oscar Awards 2025 date. Still holding on the 2nd. Okay. That is an off week for us. So I guess on February 23rd.
Okay.
Well, let me see. Hold on. I might not have seen all of them by then. When am I going to go see I'm Still Here?
I mean,
I see that on the 21st. Oh, perfect. Okay.
I was gonna say we
All
can
right,
still do it on March 9th if you want, but
no, I intend to do it before the ceremony.
okay,
February 23rd, the Wet Awards.
perfect. So yeah, we got our taste test. Trivia night. We typically do that towards the end of June, so that would be the one right before I go out to see you. If we do that, and then yeah, you're also putting in our Halloween episode, which would be October 19th. That's when we do that. And then Rotten Tomatoes we tend to do at the end of December there, so that would also be our last episode of the year. Great. So I feel like we need another fantasy draft. It's been a while since we've done one. And I know in years past we've been like, oh, we said we were going to do 2, but we only did 1. And then now we owe you 1. So this year we'll have 3. And then I don't think we got to any of them. And right.
No, so last year we didn't have any, but the year before we had 2.
Okay. So yes, I think we need to put another one on the calendar, some kind of fantasy draft. I know in the past we have tried to we've come up with different ideas. We even have on our little note sheet here, like come up with a menu for a chain bar and grill. That would be an interesting one. I would almost be interested in mixing that idea with your director's ice cream flavors. What if we open an ice cream store and you have to pick your ice cream flavors, but they have to be named after or paired with a director and influenced by their movie? That's complicated. I know. That
is complicated. I like the idea of we're fantasy drafting an ice cream parlor and like somebody takes rainbow sprinkles and then you don't get to have any.
Yeah. It's like, fuck.
Fantasy drafted ice cream parlor.
No, if you want sprinkles, go down the road, around the corner, at Melissa's.
I like that.
You don't have to do something that complicated, but yeah, I think even like an ice cream parlor thing would be fun too. Ice cream flavors. Okay.
Draft an ice cream parlor. I thought about drafting actors who should play Santa Claus.
Ooh, okay.
Can we each come up with 5 of these?
Ones who have but should.
Ones who should, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's another good idea for what we could do there. When should we do that episode? Do we want to do that like April or May? Kind of right.
Draft the ice cream parlor.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I'm looking at the calendar around that time to be like, there's a good chunk of space there.
I feel like a food draft is appropriate for the episode that will be recorded on 4/20.
Sure.
Or a taste test. Do we want to do anything in honor of May the 4th? We did once before where we like randomly generated a Star Wars movie. Like you just generated Star Wars names and we're like, okay, who is that guy? And what do we think he does?
We could do something like that again. That'd be fun.
I'm
gonna put build
a Star Wars.
Build a Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
There we go. No. Build a Star Wars. Okay. Yeah, stuff like that is fun. Let's see. Are there any? So like this is the thing. Always reserve the right to kind of move things around or
Yeah.
change these. But
Oh yeah, like let's like when is Comic-Con this year?
oh
That's
god, I don't even
important.
know off the top of my head. Yeah. Um.
Yes.
But
Okay, all right. Well, July 27th, that's SDCC news.
wow. Okay.
That happens every year.
Packed summer. So
We can do a trip planning episode where we talk about things you want to do when you come to St. Louis. I give you a little quiz, a little choose your own adventure.
that would have to go June 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Trip planning.
And ask you, like, do you want to go up in the arch or just like go to its feet and touch it or like see it from afar? How intimate do you want to get with the arch?
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good question and all that stuff. It'd be good to help us plan. But yeah, so like I also, in the back of my mind, I know I want us to try some kind of new game that we haven't done before or anything like that. But I don't have that game. I don't necessarily know what that idea is. And I mentioned that to Melissa kind of off mic a week or so ago. But if any of us think of something down the road or hear an idea or like listen to a podcast and we're like, ooh, let's steal that, right?
Yeah.
We might slot that in somewhere else. But I don't know.
Next episode, February 9th, that'll be the day of the Super Bowl. Let's bring our 5 favorite commercials. Not from the Super Bowl, just from anything. Let's talk about them.
Top 5 commercials of all time.
Yeah, of all time.
Okay. I'm down for that. I don't know. I mean that's kind of all I can think of. I don't know.
We'll fill this out, you know,
Yeah,
maybe there'll
sure.
be some soda news. We can't.
Yeah, something like that. I'm probably not going to bring as many sodas as I have on in the past, but who knows? I might be sipping on something.
A few light seltzers, perhaps. I loved the night we did like dumb BuzzFeed personality quizzes.
Sure.
That was Corn Night, the historic Corn Night.
Uh-huh.
So we haven't done that again for quite some time.
Yeah, we can do some more personality quizzes. I still every now and then want to do my what the hell were we talking about bit, but that's just like a 10-minute little bit that's in there, right? So won't necessarily fill up a whole episode. What the hell were we talking about?
Just sketch out a year, you know, and the year greatly depends on what it is you and I actually get up to and what we watch.
What we do. I feel like we need something in September.
Yes.
3 episodes in November. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I had in mind for our Planarama, and knowing that some of it was kind of already planned out in the sense that we do our trivia night, we do our Halloween episode, we do our Rotten Tomatoes, we'll do a fantasy draft, we'll do our taste test. So I think this is a great start. Okay,
good. That's all it needs to be.
That is all it needs to be, indeed. I think this is a great start, indeed. Cool. Well, I say we put a pin in that for now, and Melissa, you can educate me here on the Oscar nominations.
Yes, and don't forget, you and I are both in that Vulture Movie Fantasy League.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've thought about that since I made you sign up for it.
It's been in the back of my mind, but I haven't checked in on it.
Leaderboard. Where's our leaderboard? I'm gonna find. leaderboard, please. I gotta find us. I gotta find how we're doing. Oh my. Oh, it's huge.
So, yeah, we Melissa roped me into this. I guess you could also call it kind of a fantasy draft kind of thing, where we picked different movies and stuff, and we get points based on how the movies do during awards season, how they do in the box office, stuff like that. This is your second time doing this, is
yes.
that correct? Yeah. So this is my first. I've done similar things, but
you're not doing too bad. The fact that you drafted Wicked is a major win in your pocket. You've Wicked, you have The Apprentice, that got 2 nominations for lead and supporting actor. Gladiator 2 got a costume, I think. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 did very good at the box office. Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul, that was in the animated nominations. You're doing fine. For your first year, you're doing fine. I'm doing moderate. Our friend Jack is playing with us. Jack is at rank, and thousands of people play this game. Jack is ranked 149th.
Damn.
Jack planned her team out real well.
Holy moly.
Top 150. What an achievement. Incredible. So the Oscar nominations were a major part of getting points, particularly because it's the biggest award show. Any nomination there is awarded more points than getting nominated for like New York Film Critics Circle. But also, there's just a lot of them. You get down to all those little technical awards that not every awards body has. So our 10 Best Picture nominees: Honora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. I'm Still Here, a major shocker. Nobody was predicting I'm Still Here in Best Picture.
Huh, okay.
This is a Brazilian film that was expected to get Best Lead Actress and like Best International Film. Yeah. Nobody thought it was going to crack that Best Picture 10. A real stunner.
Here you go.
The Substance had a good amount of nominations. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Lead Actress for Demi Moore, which she seems very likely to win.
Sure.
I think it was in Screenplay, some other things. It's like the most lauded horror movie in quite some time. Nosferatu actually had like 4 nominations also for technicals.
That's awesome.
And Alien Romulus is in there for visual effects. This is the most horror that the Oscars have had maybe since the year The Exorcist came out.
That's awesome.
And if Demi Moore wins, I think she's the first lead actress winner for a horror movie since either Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs or Kathy Bates in Misery, both of which were like early 90s.
Yeah.
So we talk about there's lots of groundbreaking and things, like we've got Carla Sofia Gascon, the first out trans performer to be nominated for a major award. Like there's all sorts of demographic groundbreaking and record setting and historical things, but genre stuff also.
Cool.
You know, it's fun whenever there's like something outside of the sad movie about a 20th century tragic historical event cracks the list, and you get a comedy or a horror or sci-fi or something else in there. Yeah. How many of these nominations have you seen? Did you see A Complete Unknown?
I have not yet.
Did you actually go see Wicked?
I did, yes.
Okay. How about The Substance?
Have not.
You'd like The Substance.
I'm still like on the fence on like it looks interesting. I'm also probably gonna be like grossed out by some of the stuff.
Sure, but the art kid in you will love The Substance. It looks incredible. Yeah. It's designed to heck and back. Yeah, do you want me to read everything? How much of the Oscar nominations do you want?
Give me a good overview.
An overview. Okay, Best Picture. Amelia Perez has been very well favored with international audiences, but that's a love it or hate it thing. Doesn't seem like it's quite. So the Oscars work on a preferential ballot. You rank the Best Picture winners number 1 to number 10. So it's not just the movie that gets the most votes that wins. It has to get the majority, which means over like 51% of people have to vote for that as the number 1 best movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's no majority, then that movie is crossed out and they go to the next one on the list. Like your number 2 gets bumped up to being your number 1. So volatile movies you love or hate, generally there's not enough lovers to get that thing to win. So it's something that's a bit more of a consensus pick. Even if less people like it, even if less people love it, if everybody likes it, it's more likely to win in the Oscars. Winner may be Anora or The Brutalist. I think the track record for Anora is very strong. I can easily see that being 1 or 2 on a lot of different ballots.
Sure, yeah.
So look to Anora to win. Lead actor, look to Adrian Brody or Timothée Chalamet. Lead actress, again, look to Demi Moore. Maybe Fernando Torres for I'm Still Here. Maybe Mikey Madison and Anora. Supporting actor, Kieran Culkin for Real Pain. That is sewn up. This has been a weird year. This has been a real whack-a-mole year where September 5 will come out of nowhere and threaten to get something. And is it going to take it? And it just gets like 1 screenplay nomination at the end of the day.
Sure.
Like stuff will be really strong and disappear or come out of nowhere and make a splash. It's not like last year when it was like, oh, Oppenheimer. And it's just like Oppenheimer and Poor Things just like riding the train straight through. This has been an up and down year, and Kieran Culkin is like the one constant. Okay. He's the one thing that's always been happening and will happen. Supporting actress, that's almost certainly going to be Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez.
Okay.
Good for her. Director, I think Brady Corbet got it at the Globes. We'll see. Could be Corbet, could be Sean Baker for Anora. Adapted screenplay, gee whiz, that'll be Conclave. Original screenplay, Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, could be one of those 3. Animated feature, either Wild Robot or Flow. Cinematography, Nosferatu got in here. This is one of the Nosferatu noms. And I think that one has been performing pretty consistently. That might take it. But you've got The Brutalist, which looks gorgeous. Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 underperformed. Didn't get quite as many things as you would have hoped. But cinematography, that might be one of them.
Yeah.
I'd imagine Wicked to take costume design. You're not going to fill out a ballot. I don't think you use this knowledge for anything. But thanks for letting me give it to you.
Yeah, no, it's fun to keep up with that stuff, and it's something you enjoy and are passionate about. So I'm here to support
you're
that.
watching me like rattle things off. I didn't come with notes. I just have this in my head all the time now.
But it helps then like to know like, oh, you've mentioned this on the podcast. I at least have some
I plant the
familiarity.
seed.
Yeah.
I plant the seed, the flower grows, and the flower grows is like, what if one of Rachel's friends invites you to an Oscar party and you can point at the screen and say, I know that.
I understood that reference.
Yes. Documentary feature is going to be No Other Land. Editing is almost always won by the picture that's going to win Best Picture. Those two are frequently paired. Anora, The Brutalist, and Amelia Perez are all in for editing. International feature film, that'll go to Amelia Perez. It can definitely win there. Makeup and hairstyling, that'll go to The Substance. Yeah. It better. What the heck else is going to take that thing? I mean, there's other good stuff in here. Nosferatu, A Different Man, which I adored. But nothing is on the level of The Substance. Score, I think. The winner of the Golden Globes, which is one of the major precursors before the Oscars, Challengers won that. Challengers blanked. No Oscar noms for Challengers, unfortunately. So who knows what'll win that. Could be The Brutalist. People love that score. Original song, that's going to be one of the ones from Amelia Perez, probably El Mal.
Okay.
sound is frequently action movies and or musicals. I guess action movies or musicals. I don't think there's
Sure,
an
yeah.
and there. I can't name an action musical. Can you?
I mean, no, but I feel like that exists. I feel like that has to exist.
I mean, there's a lot of fighting in West Side Story. That's the closest you maybe get to action. There's fighting in Les Mis. You'll get a fighting musical. A Complete Unknown really performed very well. I'd watch out for A Complete Unknown to have a surprising amount of strength, particularly in that Best Actor. Visual effects. Our nominees are Alien Romulus, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Wicked. Kyle, do you know Better Man?
Yeah, I went to go say that. I talked about it on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
This is a movie that people have either seen or they've never heard of, and they're flabbergasted at its existence.
Yeah, I saw someone posting online about the poster and was like, I've never heard of this movie. Why would anyone want to see this based on the poster alone? And just like, they were obviously down on the poster and stuff like that. But everyone in the comments was either on her side of like, yeah, I've never heard of this. Or the like, I actually went to go see that. It was awesome. It was really good. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe the poster's not the greatest, but the movie's pretty good.
I have not seen this thing yet. It's on my list. I don't know if I'll be able. I have a friend who wants to see it, who is like not a film person. All she knows is there's a biopic with a monkey in it. I have to see it.
That's all you need. I knew nothing about the person that it's about. I don't
nobody
think I've ever
nobody
heard
in America does.
Their music.
Nobody in America does.
It was a blast. It was awesome.
I'm happy that's having its own little journey. Gosh, that's the Oscar. That's a loose rundown of the Oscar nominations. There's granular stuff that I can get very nerdy about, but that's a layman's introduction.
Yeah.
Look for the ceremony to happen on March 2nd, hosted by Conan O'Brien. No live musical numbers this year.
Okay.
Which I think is that can be something that's either a showstopper like last year with I'm Just Ken, or that's the part where people get up and go to the bathroom. Like, it really depends on the number if it's a successful part of the presentation. I think this year they felt like it might have been like a little too flashy and fluffy to do during a ceremony that's going to be quite serious in the wake of the wildfires.
Yeah, I know what that feeling is kind of like. 'Cause the only award show that I kind of watch is the video game awards. Just because I play video games, and they're not the greatest award show out there. I know a lot of people like to be like, it's the Oscars of video game, but it's not really. But it has its moments where it's like, oh, this is an award that was obviously also somehow tied into an advertisement, or like this is like this is the musical performance here, and it's just kind of hitting flat, and it's not. It's like, why are they here? What do they have to do with any of this? So that there's some weird thing. Like this year, they trotted out Harrison Ford on stage because there was an Indiana Jones game, and someone else did his voice in the game.
Sure,
right. So he was passing the torch. They made jokes about it's an indie game, like it's an independent game, but it's not. But yeah. So
I
Al
know
Pacino
one thing.
The year before, it was kind of wild. Yeah. What
is there an Al Pacino game?
No.
Why not?
But maybe that's something I have you do this next year, is watch the video game award, just so you can see like what that award show is like.
I am. That is one of my goals, is I want to become better knowledgeable about award shows as a whole. Like, truly watch all of them, even if I don't really know the field, just so that I can better speak to the art of the awards show itself and how one is produced.
Sure. Yeah. That it happens usually early December. So we might not get to cover it on this year's set of stuff. But at least when we come back next year, I can be like, so the video game awards, huh? The guy that hosts it always seems to have Muppets on the show. Too. What's their name? Waldorf and Statler, right? The two old guys. They were on it this year. They were just heckling him from the whole time. Right? Yeah. They just have like weird things happening in the video game awards.
I like that. I like weird things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever like sit down and watch the Oscars. This might be a weird year to start if you don't.
Sure. Yeah.
I maybe don't start on the wildfire year. It's gonna be strange because it needs to be, rightfully so, have an air of like respect and reverence, but also I picture like millions of living rooms of parties and groups of friends just awkwardly sitting there together during very sad parts. Like, you don't gather all your friends around and make a chip and dip to watch a sad thing, but this year we are. So it's just going to be an emotionally strange sit for a lot of parties.
Interesting. Well, good. And thank you for the rundown there.
Yeah, I'll give you the full recap on March 9th.
There we go. Good stuff. Well, I say we wrap up things right there.
That's plenty.
Because after this, we got a Pilots Club episode to record. So, Melissa, where can the people get in contact with you on the internet?
Just write me an email. Who can handle social media anymore? I can't. You can email me at yourhostmelissa@gmail.com.
Perfect. If you guys would like to stay up to date with me, I am at Yo Kyle Springer. And if you'd like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts official on Threads, and we are at thewhatnauts.com on Blue Sky. So please go check us out. Go like, share, subscribe. Go check out more of our videos. If you're watching this on YouTube, that would help us out a ton. And this has been number 288 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.